How's it going, Bit Hero friends? Today's video I wanted to discuss transitioning into Raid 1. I know from talking to a few of you that you're stuck in Zone 2 or stuck in Zone 3, and there's a few flags that are just giving you problems. Today I wanted to discuss some of those things, and if you stay tuned after discussing these things, I also want to ask 5 miscellaneous questions that I've had from common players in regards to Raid 1 and endgame content. I'm going to go ahead and start a quest here so you have something to watch. And I'm just going to go ahead and rattle off my tips here. Okay, so as you're moving into Raid 1, around level 40, you need to start asking in world chat for higher level players to join your raid team. By mentioning raiding, they are usually more likely to accept you, and before you know it, you will have a full raid team set up. Remember that you need a tank, and that's top priority, so ask daily in the world chat. But specify and mention the keyword raid team. For example, if you're level 45, I would click world chat daily a few times during the day. I need 1 player for my raid 1 team. Can I get 1 player? And by specifying 1 player and mentioning the keywords raid team, you're most likely going to get a few players that are over level 100. Now once you have them, make sure that you remain active, because these people check their friends list every single day. And if you're ever away from the keyboard for 2 days, you're just going to fall off their friends list, and you have to repeat that process all over again. Moving on to the second tip here, don't let your players die twice. So once you're in raid, you probably already know this, but the raid boss hits pretty hard. And if he kills your tank, for example, you're going to want to revive your tank immediately, and then let some of your DPS, say, take 1 hit maybe, and then cycle them out so that your tank never dies again. Because if any player dies twice, you can no longer use them in your raid. Moving on to the third tip here, legendary drop rates. So keep in mind, my longest streak without a legendary in Raid 1 Heroic was about 58 total runs. So keep that in mind as you step into your raid. I get the question all the time of, I've ran 20 raids now and I'm not getting legendaries. Am I doing something wrong? What do I need to do? So keep in mind that it's typical for 50 plus runs without a legendary on Heroic. With that being said, that kind of leads me to my next point here, and that is, should I do Raid 1 on hard mode just because it's a little easier? And my answer is, if you're doing any raid on hard mode, you're kind of wasting a raid shard. And the reason is as follows. So if I click raid and go to summon, notice here that the item find is 200% for hard and 400% for heroic. If you're doing it on hard, you're basically cutting your odds in half, and that's just not something you want to do. So make sure you're doing your best to do heroic mode. It's definitely possible, even if you don't have the best of tanks. Just make sure that you're constantly switching out your players to absorb some of the damage. Because if your tank is terrible, you just can't take all the hits. You can swap out your DPS, let them get hit once, and let all 4 of your DPS get hit once, and then your tank should be fully healed just from the defense pets healing you. Moving on to tip number 5 here, never exchange energy for raid shards. This will drastically reduce your leveling, and the odds for gear is far too low to justify this trade. So basically, if you're in town, you can click craft and then click trade. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll notice that there is actually a trade that you can make for, I believe, 5,000 gold and 100 energy. And this will give you 1 additional raid shard. Doing that is the worst trade that you can do in the game. And if you do it, you are actually making a very poor choice, because that's 3 heroic dungeons you could be running. It's a lot more experience, and not only that, but you're going to find a lot more potions and things in your heroic dungeons that you're going to need for your raid. So it's just not worth it. Okay, so those are my 5 tips. If you guys have any other questions, do let me know. But if you've made it this far in the video, I'm also going to answer 5 miscellaneous questions that I've been asked over the past few nights of streaming. The number 1 question is, when does Raid 1 unlock? And the answer is, Raid 1 unlocks as soon as you beat Zone number 3. So once you beat Zone number 3, the 3rd castle on even normal difficulty, you will unlock Raid 1, and then you can go in there and start beating the boss. Now my recommendation is, for example, with the skeleton keys, that's our next question here. Should I save my skeleton keys, and what should I use them for? If you're wasting your skeleton keys in Zone 2 or Zone 3, then you're not going to benefit as greatly as you could. So I would wait until at least Raid 1, and then use them in there, and you can get upgraded epic gear immediately. Now if you really have some patience, what you can do is hold on to the skeleton keys until Raid 2, and then benefit even more, because the epics from Raid 2 are much better than Raid 1. And all you have to do to unlock Raid 2 is beat Zone 4. So here's what you would do. You would unlock Raid 1, use your powerful minions to get through Zone 4, and then once it's unlocked, you use your skeleton keys to get however many epics from Raid 2 that you have as skeleton keys. So if you have 4 of them, that's 4 free epics from Raid 2 if you're patient enough to wait. The next question is, what are the best familiars for Zone 2 and 3 if I get stuck? So this goes hand in hand with the next question of, if I'm stuck on any flag in the game, what should I do? And this goes for any flag in the game, even the very last one in Zone 3. So here's a few tips. First of all, what I tell all players if they get stuck is to go back and get Shramps and Borland. They're one of the easier minions in the game to catch, and if you take advantage of the certain daily bonuses out there, you can actually catch them with a much higher capture rate. So keep that in mind and look for those daily bonuses. But if you get a Shramps and Borland, you're pretty much set up for a long time, even in PvP and trials. So if both of those are not on your team, then you are going to struggle, especially in Zone 3. The next tip, if you're stuck on flags, is upgrade all of your rare gear twice. You're going to want to fully upgrade that rare gear. By doing so, it's going to give you a few extra stats, and those stats are going to buff your familiars a lot, and it's going to make the zone a lot easier for you. The third tip is on your epic gear, you want to make sure it's upgraded at least 1 time. And if you're still struggling, I would also upgrade it the 2nd time. But make sure every piece is upgraded once before you upgrade a 2nd time, because upgrading the 2nd time is a lot more expensive to do. Let's see, and beyond that, if you have Shramps and Borland and you've upgraded your gear, the only other answer is to go back to the last zone and beat the hardest castle on heroic until you level up, I'd say about 5 times. And the reason for doing this is it's going to offer a lot more experience than the castles that you have in the zone that you're stuck in. And the reason for doing the last castle is because it's also going to have additional minions. So for example, let's go to Zone 2 here. Let's say you're stuck on flag number 6 here. You're stuck on this flag. Now, if you already have Shramps and Borland, and you've already upgraded your gear, the next step is to level up a few levels so you can actually get past this wall. Now, if we did this dungeon, it would give us 200% experience and 300% item find. But if we go back here, it's going to give us more item find and the same amount of experience. But the key is, this dungeon, since it's the last one on the list, will probably have 4 or 5 additional packs of minions, which results in just hundreds and hundreds of additional experience. Given the gear that you find here isn't going to be as powerful, the gear that you find here is going to be irrelevant anyway in like 10 levels. So it's more of a priority to focus on the experience. That way your familiars are gaining the stats from your item level or your level in general, and then you can power through these flags. Okay guys, that looks like pretty much all the questions that I have. I do appreciate you guys asking the questions, especially those of you that come out and see us on Twitch. If you guys have anything else, please post it below. I'm trying to friend as many people as I can, but as you may know, I have four alts now, and they're all maxed on our friends list. I'm trying to get around and start creating a few additional guilds for everybody. That way everybody can benefit greatly from the higher players. If any of you guys need level 100 players, please do come out to the stream, because I've been inviting my friends and they've been freeing up like 10 to 20 friend list spots on their friend list, and they're friending all of the lower players that are getting ready for Raid 1. So if you guys have any more questions, do let me know. Please click the subscribe button there, and do try to spread these tips to the newer players as you see them, because a lot of players don't fully understand all these things. If you guys have anything else, just let me know below. Thanks for watching, and this is McProseph signing off. Take care, guys.